Hello, beautiful people of the world. Continuing in the sun sign series, I'm going to be talking about Gemini Sun today. This one is pretty funny to me because it was almost my sun sign. I am a Cancer, but I am only 1 degree of Cancer, and I was born at like midnight. So I feel like I resonate a lot with this sun sign, even though I'm technically not part of it. So, Gemini suns. Alright, I have to keep giggling just because, everyone knows how Geminis are, right? They're kind of flaky, a little bit disorganized, all over the place. It's a mutable sign. And the sun is your personality and your ego and stuff like this. And so when you have it in a mutable air sign, the way that you, express yourself really, really varies. And you'll change your mind many, many times. Geminis don't really like making a decision that they can't back out of. They enjoy the ability to be able to change their mind and change their opinion on things. Because to them, that's freedom. They don't want to lock themselves down into one single way of doing things, because that's not the nature of who they are. So yeah, in the sun sign, their personality is something that is going to shift and develop and change quite a lot over time, even within the same day. They might wake up and really want to hang out with this one person and do these 5 different hobbies and tasks, and then something else will come up and it'll inspire them and their whole mind and persona will change and they'll want to hang out with a different person and do different things. And this is something that a lot of people get mad at Geminis about, is that they are so flexible and fluid and changeable. But really, I think as a positive appreciation post for Geminis is that these qualities are actually quite helpful in terms of shaking things up and inspiring people and being really funny and optimistic and outgoing. Gemini suns have this really great ability to kind of always be cheerful and always find the lighter, more optimistic side to things. They love to show that really bright part of their personality. They're light and airy and fun and all over the place. They're typically very funny. They can make people laugh. They are really good at starting a conversation. They can talk about anything. They don't really care. Deep topics, superficial topics, weird topics, politically charged things, whatever. They're able to really get very intellectual, but they can also be really lighthearted, like I said, and kind of change the tone of a conversation to make it more enjoyable for everybody. So including a Gemini in your social circle will definitely keep everybody's spirits up. So even if maybe they're a little bit hard to get a hold of, and maybe they're hard to schedule around and plan with, and you might get frustrated at them, at times just recognize that this is kind of a part of who they are. And chances are, if you have a Gemini in your life that you're really close to, it's pretty easy to hang out with them all the time. Gemini is an energy, if you think about Mercury, it likes to revolve around everything really, really quickly. So if you're someone that is more dominated by, outer planets, or you're very earthy and grounded and you're slow and you take your time with things, the chances of you guys clicking as much are not quite as much. But if you have some of the more personal planets as a more dominant force in your chart and stuff like this, and you're also moving really fast, the chances of you guys linking up together are much higher, especially if you also have other Gemini placements in your chart. You'll find that it's much easier to hang out with a lot of air sign people or air dominant people, especially if your life involves a lot of communication. Geminis are really good at communicating, but they can be a little bit fragmented. They don't really flesh out one single thought to the end of it, maybe like an Aquarius would. They jump from topic to topic. They can have very tangential thinking, like, oh, this made me think of this, which made me think of this, which made me think of this. You're just gonna have to learn how to embrace these kind of people, and if you are a Gemini, to embrace this style of communicating, because that's what you are. You're like, you know, when you study DNA and you know how everything is read, you just do like click, 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 click. It's not supposed to be this seamless process. You're taking tiny bits of information and splicing them and then putting them back together and recreating them and regurgitating it in a way that people can understand it better. So maybe 5 really crazy things happened to you during the day, and you'll tell one story that kind of does piece them all together. So you can be seamless behind the scenes, but other people won't really know that. And you can be really in-depth in a conversation with somebody and just completely switch the topic and say some really crazy random stuff. And some people might not appreciate this because they'll be like, look, I was telling you a story. Can you please focus? And the Gemini will be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then they'll try to listen, and then you'll talk to them again, and then they aren't really listening, and they say this other random thing, and you're just like, oh my God. So sometimes they're not always the best person to talk to, depending on what you do need to talk about, but they really do care. They're very caring people. They're very interested in your thought processes and the way that you think. So when you're talking, they're probably analyzing all of your words and your speech patterns and what it means. They're very curious, observant, and very intelligent people. You know, this is basically Mercury, or at least a part of Mercury, combining with the sun. So you've got this really fast-paced, energetic, bright, very mentally stimulated kind of individual. There's someone, it's kind of a joke, but death to a Gemini is boredom. So they don't typically like to be alone in themselves. That is something that a lot of the air sun signs share, except not as much Aquarius, but that still can be the case. But yeah, Gemini suns don't really like to be alone very much because they find that bored. Not that they can't entertain themselves or anything like that, but it's like Gemini needs that newness, that stimulation, that differentness, that curiosity, that process of jumping from all over the place, because that's just how their mind works. So when they're alone, they're only bouncing back and forth between their own mind, which they are already doing all of the time. So to them, that's not really new and innovative necessarily. But when they're with another person, they can bounce back and forth between those two brains. And then with all of the new information they've obtained from talking to this other person, then when they go back and forth in their own head, it seems different. And then that's super cool. And then when that gets stagnant again, they go back to the next person. So they are probably all over the place in terms of social interactions and being around people and moving and trying new things. And that's just because they want to keep stimulated. And that is how Gemini stays in flow, and it's how that they keep happy. So if you are a Gemini sun, surround yourself with people, laugh, talk, love, study new things, entertain yourself, engage your mind, definitely. If you are depressed as a Gemini, it's because you are not doing these things. And you've got to keep mentally and socially stimulated because that's who you are. And in today's day and age, that isn't necessarily too difficult because of the internet. So a lot of modern day Geminis will be very technologically advanced and very meshed into social media and digital communication platforms and things like this. So I'm talking really, really fast because Mercury, and I really like this sun sign. I mean, yeah, Geminis can be annoying sometimes, but overall they're really fun to be around. So please check out my description if you're interested in any more work that I do, or if you want to follow me on Instagram.